Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo, and this is MeWe Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Pacific Northwest, many online, and we interview our practitioners and vendors so you get a chance to know who we are before you meet us at an event. I'm so excited to be here with Crystal Novak. Crystal, thanks for joining.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
please tell us, what is it that you do? What do you offer at our events?
I am a psychic reader. I'm also a conscious channel, and I also do energy work. So to break down the psychic reading stuff is I'm highly intuitive, come from a place of knowingness, and I'm also very clairsentient, um, as well as clairaudient. So I just person asks me a question and I go, okay, and the information just pops into my head. Um, and then I get to decode it. Um, and then the conscious channel part is a lot of times I also can pretty much do just about anything. It's when I was first utilizing my abilities, it never occurred to me that you're supposed to do things a certain way or there's certain permissions or whatever. I just went, oh, I want to know about that. So, okay, I'm going to that, like the Akashic Records to get that information. Okay. Um, talking to angels. Okay. So talking to people that have passed. Okay. Um, so the so sometimes I also function as a medium, but I know other people who have channeled, and sometimes they'll actually bring in somebody that they're channeling, or and I also knew someone who was an unconscious channel. So I just like to say that I'm conscious while it's happening. I'm not leaving, I'm not going into a trance or anything like that. So, um, and then energy work is uh, helping move energy that's stuck out of somebody's system. Sometimes it's actual hands-on on chakras or other body areas that have deeper injuries and stuff like that to help unstick it and help the energy to begin to flow again. Um, yeah. So basically, like I say when I'm at the fair, is I know stuff.
Maybe tell us a little bit about how you developed your gifts, like what was here more innately for you and what are things that opened over time for you?
Um, well, part of it was as a little kid, I was very curious about everything. Um, I wanted to know more about stuff. Um, I remember even before going to kindergarten, I had a pen and a piece of paper and I was scribbling. I'm like, I want to write. I wish I could write. I want to be able to write. Um, and I was just, yeah, just very curious about the world that I was in and wanted to know more about it and how does it work and stuff like that. So I think that was a key component to me being more open to different experiences than maybe most children don't have or have but don't talk about. Um, so between ages 4 and 5, I had an invisible friend um, whose name was Arky, which later I figured out was short for Archangel. And so we would ride I had a tricycle, but in my mind it was a motorcycle. So we would ride motorcycles together up and down the block. Um, and later on, I realized it was Archangel Michael. Um, so always had an awareness of spirit being there, but didn't know that's what it was. It just was something that was part of my normal everyday experience. And so it didn't occur to me that it was something different. Um, and also my childhood was pretty traumatic. So my abilities I also used to have a greater awareness of the energy, reading the room, um, figuring out or sensing what felt safe, what didn't feel safe. Um, So the one of the bigger ones I can remember doing in front of other people was being a bluebird, which is Campfire Girl's version of a brownie. Um, and the little girl that we were a part of a little group, and her mom ran the group, and it was her birthday. So her mom invited us all for her birthday party. And so she's opening presents, and we're all sitting there. She gets her last present. Her mom hands it to her. It's the last one. It's quite lavish looking, blah, blah. So she opens it, and then there's another box inside, and she opens it, and it's another box inside, that kind of thing. And she gets down to the last box, and I just blurt out, "It's a silver dollar." I had no idea where that even came from. It just popped out of my mouth. The look on her mother's face was pretty interesting. Number one, total shock. Like, how on earth do you even know that? Um, a little bit of fear, then anger, because now I ruined the surprise. Um, and I just could feel her shut her energy down and not be available to me anymore. Um, yeah. So the older I got, the more stuff I would be having awareness of, but I didn't really like cultivate it per se. If I did say stuff to people, they would look at me like, "How do you know that?" And then they'd freak out. So I had to learn discernment about not sharing everything. Um, and then in my mid 20s, I took some training for some different places. Um, and starting, lots of stuff began to open up. So having names for stuff, understanding the information that was coming. Um, and then around age 30, I was doing an NLP training, and one of the people taking the course was also into astrology, as I am as well. So we started up this hot fire friendship, and she mentioned that she was going to a meditation study group class, and she thought I'd be really interested. And she said, "This woman's a channel, and it's really cool." And I'm like, "That sounds cool. I want to go." So I went. Um, and I stayed. And Ruth was the channel, and she was an unconscious channel. She would step aside and let the energy come through her, and that energy happened to be an ascended master named Katumi. And we did a class once a week for 35 years, and he showed up and would teach the class. Um, so he talked about all different kinds of stuff. It was a lot of esoteric knowledge about chakras, the principles of energy, and that's called Hermetic doctrine. We studied the tree of life and the Kabbalah, how to work with energy, how to clear your consciousness of limited beliefs or limiting beliefs, working with your parts, your aspects, um, how to meditate, how to use breath. And then he would also just present a concept and have us think about it. For example, one time he said, "Give yourself the gift of non-judgment." It's like, well, that's a big one to chew on. Um, so going to that class, and the only rule, if you will, was you would do the work. If you showed up, then you would do the work. It didn't matter what you looked like or what you wore, or if you had, you know, whatever. That part didn't matter. It was that you would do the work. Be open to what was being taught and apply it and do the work. So that was highly beneficial to me because it allowed me to do more deeper inner healing with my wounded parts, clear those false beliefs, uh, work more with the emotional body as well and the physical body. Um, and the more I cleared, the stronger my abilities got. Um, and he also introduced us to being aware of our guides or angels or that type of thing. So I definitely cultivated those relationships as well.
When did you get the sense that you wanted to work with people, that you wanted to use what came through you to be of service?
In my mid 20s, um, after I'd taken some training, I realized that I could see stuff and know stuff, and that if presented in a certain way, that it could be help people to know that there's tools for this, or that I see you and I'm witnessing you and you're not crazy. These things you're talking about are real and they're happening. But it took me, it's like I had had to take a couple different runs at it. Like I would go participate in the fairs and stuff, and then I'd run into my stuff I hadn't cleared. So in order to be more effective, I had to like, okay, I need to stop, do more therapy. Okay, then make another run at it, do more therapy. Um, so I was basically doing this on the side for people that I knew. Um, as well as if family members, that type of thing. And then uh, right around COVID, it's like, okay, I want to step out and start doing this again for the world because I really felt strongly that my abilities are helpful. Um,
Yeah,
and
they
if I
are.
could give people the next little thing to help them get that spark and go, oh, and watch that click and fall into place, then that gave them another way forward so they can continue on whatever their personal path was. Um, so then I started looking on Google and there was all these things run by Lorelei Shamayo. And I'm like, who is this person? Every time I go to research psychic stuff or metaphysical fairs, there's her name. So that's how I found out about MeWe, and that's how I started being a practitioner at the fairs.
That's great. And you've been participating for several
Yeah,
years now. So yeah, it's been great
yeah.
having you. Are there
Thank you.
themes? Are there themes of the work that you do with people? Like, are some themes of reasons why people come or the kinds of things you end up doing with them?
I themes. Yeah, I think there's definitely some themes. Sometimes they're more like this is the theme right now, and I'll get people like kind of working on the same thing. Or, but one of the prevailing themes is people that are have childhood trauma stuff to clear, and working with them about recognizing that's what's going on. Um, so yeah, it's like a deep pattern clearing type of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And witnessing. I mean,
Mhm.
it sounds weird to say that,
Mhm.
but somebody can sit there and I will see them and they are being seen and they are being witnessed for who they are and where they are. Um, and there's no judgment. Um, it's like, yeah, I'm here. I see you.
Yeah, witnessing is very healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Would you say that you do the same work at fairs as you do privately? Just shorter or similar, or does it go a bunch deeper privately? Like
it
what?
goes deeper privately. Yeah, it goes deeper. Um, because I have more time to walk through different stuff that's coming up. Um, and people have been carrying stuff for a long, long time. And so it gives them, I mean, you can feel safe at the fair, but it's very public. So if I'm working with somebody privately and they start crying, which they still do publicly, but if they start crying and they're really struck by what we're working through, then they um, can do that with me being the only person that's sharing that moment with them.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. Um,
great. Well, if people want to connect with you, um, uh, outside of the fairs, find you on the web, where do they go?
the name of my website is openheartpathllc.com. And that's also my email address. It's a big chunk of a thing to say when I could have made that shorter, but at the time that's what came into my head. So it's openheartpathllc@gmail.com.
Great.
Yeah. And I also offer mentoring and coaching as well. And if someone's interested in mentoring or coaching, we can do a discovery call so that we can talk about what they're looking at or what they want to achieve, and then determine if it's a good fit or not, and go forward from there.
That's great. I know I've enjoyed having you as a colleague so much. I'm so thrilled that you participate in the events and looking forward to so much more that we'll be able to do together in ways that you are of service to people.
Thank you. That's right back at you. I'm very appreciative that MeWe exists. It fills a deep need, I believe, for so many people. Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Crystal, and all of you watching and listening. You can connect with Crystal at her events, and you can find out all that we're doing at MeWeFairs.com. Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you, Lorelai. Appreciate it.